Hello, everybody. Eimear Burke here. Welcome to another Fireside Chat. This is our 97th one, where I'm in conversation with a member of the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. So I will just start, as I usually do, with a prayer for peace. Gomara Siacon na fud na crinne. Gomara Siacon in our jaili agus in our jirha. Gonairi lin len our cuj garmacha. Gamwich buichas jeev, je chwivdaka, a spirit chwivdaka. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities. As the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. That those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb, that our swords be beaten into plowshares, and no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the Holy Mountain, with thanks to John O'Donoghue. So you're all very, very welcome. And let's see, from Italy, slippery Slough. It's a frosty slippery Slough. It's -1 this evening. Our first real frost, maybe this week, which we need actually for the seeds. Frosty London, Cheshire, New Hampshire in the US, Seattle, Portugal, West Yorkshire, sunny winter day, Cornwall, Belgium. That's wonderful. Edinburgh, light snowfall this morning. Great. Well, sorry, I mean, I like snow. Northamptonshire, yes, there's lots of frost. So it's just wonderful to see you. So let's introduce you to my guest this evening. We're going to Tintagel in Cornwall. So I'd like to introduce you to Sandy Coombs. So, Sandy, you are so welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm really nervous, so bear with me, folks. Just my normal self. Well, I hope you enjoy our chat tonight, and there'll be something there to keep you warm if you're frosty, or cool you down if you're too hot, because you're all around the world from what I can make out. So.
Well, there's Karen from Mexico and it's hot there, but most people are saying it's cold. So you're in Tintagel, and I know people, I've been there once. I thought it was just a wonderful place. And just to share with our audience what Tintagel is like, why it's so important, why it's so interesting. Over to you.
Okay. Well, Tintagel's goes out onto a headland which is directly faced the Atlantic Ocean. So it's very, very rugged, very wild. It's built on slate, quartz. You can see the quartz crystals going through the rocks when you're stood there. Obviously, we've got the legends of King Arthur and Merlin, which are very dominant. And roughly about 1.5 miles, 2 miles out, we've got the legendary St Nectan's Glen. So I feel very privileged to have been able to live here. It was quite unplanned, but it was what was meant for me. I don't know what else to say for a minute about Tintagel. I don't know how many of you have heard the legends of King Arthur and Merlin, but Merlin's Cave, a lot of people are saying it's inaccessible this year because of the landslides, but I know quite a few people who managed to get down and go in there. It's a tidal cave, but you can very much feel the energy, and also a very other energy which is prominent, which Kieran, if anybody knows Kieran, also picks up there, is of Morgan Le Fay. She seems very, very dominant in that area.
Yeah.
And when I first sort of came to Tintagel, my daughter went down to the cave. I've only managed it once because of different problems of walking and things. And she got some little crystals and she brought them back up to show me. And she said, "These are for me, they're not for you." And they all jumped in her hand. And she went, "That's all right, Mum, you can have those." But it is very, very magical energy. And when you go up, there's a church called St. Matriana's.
Okay.
And you go into the church there, but you can feel the layers beneath. And when I've sort of done historical research on it, it was an ancient Celtic sacred place. And it's linked on a direct ley line with Abergavenny in South Wales. And they've tried to hold some of the Celtic, keep some of the Celtic history there. But you can, if you ever visit there, if you go up and then you go into one of the neves in the church, you can really feel our ancestors, our Celtic and Druid ancestors there. Regarding the legend of King Arthur, everybody says he didn't exist. But recent archaeological evidence now has shown where the castle was out on the island. English Heritage has taken it over. But now they've found that that was actually built on something which would have been the equivalent of an Arthur king back in the 6th and 7th century. So there's always a little something and behind all these myths and legends. And a lot of people, Merlin was a great figure in energy, but that was the general name for anybody who would be a magician or a healer or whatever in the courts at that time. But you can really connect with it. I was quite poorly when I first came to Tintagel from 2021. Used to come down on holiday, but came down with my daughter for a long weekend. And sort of all these years later, I still haven't gone back. It was really healing, and a lot of people come here and find that the energies here are really healing for people. You've got the land, you've got the sea, you've got the sky, and if you can embrace those and connect to them, it is wonderful.
And is there any particular place in the area that you say people will be drawn to more for healing? Like, is there one particular area or one place that might be a bit stronger from what people have said?
At one time, it would have been St. Nectan's Glen up at the pools at St. Nectan's. I've spoken to many people that have gone in there, and they've had, even with certain skin conditions such as psoriasis and things, and they've come back and said, "Look, this is going since I've been in the water." So I'd say the pool at St. Nectan's Glen, very much so. Down a little ravine, it's called Rocky Valley. It's the same water that runs through St. Nectan's, and you go down. There was an old mill, but if you look in just round the corner, you'll find the two labyrinths carved into the wall there.
Okay.
Whether or not they are really ancient, I'd like to think they are, but people are saying, "Oh, it's been quarried out," and but there's a little place there, and people hang little cloities up, and that is another nice place to go down and sit down. So a lot of people go to Rocky Valley. St. Nectan's Glen is healing, and Boscastle was really dominant, but the energies changed after the floods in 2004. But I still find you walk up through the Valency Valley, it's beautiful, and it takes you up the rivers there.
Yes, I went to Boscastle, I think in 2015, and I saw a video of the mudslide. I mean, it was quite horrific when you think of the damage done, and how how high the floods went and everything else. Yeah.
Mm.
So you think it's changed since then? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That used to be sort of my go-to place on a Sunday afternoon, because I lived on a holiday caravan park for about 3 years previous to the flood. And the Sunday afternoon, I used to manage to escape and go down to Boscastle and just sit there. And it did change. When the actual flood came, we didn't know what was happening, because we could see the sea going brown and all the different helicopters coming in and the sirens, and didn't know what was happening until, because all our telephones were taken
Oh,
for the emergency services. Then I went down around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and just couldn't believe what you were seeing in front of you. But
wow.
thankfully, nobody was killed, and that was pretty amazing, you know.
There's a question from David here. Have you ever had an experience of or felt the presence of a saint or particular person's spirit while at Tintagel?
Yes, I would say Merlin, but I've also Manoedan. I find the two come through. And during the sort of in the pandemic, I went up and I felt a real strong presence of Morgan Le Fay, and was connecting with her and saying what's going on here. And at that time, I believed it was something, because we'd abused the earth and it needed to rest, was more or less what had come through at that point. So yes, I do very much connect with Merlin, Manoedan, Morgan Le Fay.
I'm not familiar with Manoedan, so just tell us a little bit about him or her.
Manoedan, he was the second husband of, it come to me in a minute, Rhiannon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That some people sort of think that he was also Mananam, but it is different sort of strain in the legends. And he was very much a Merlin type person who, when he married Rhiannon, that they became quite a force to be reckoned with. And I think it was Dave the Bard in his third branch of the Mabinogi.
Okay.
One of I call it the mouse song, and that was about when one of the enemies had turned into mice to destroy everything Manoedan was getting. Then he caught the main one, and it wasn't a mouse at all. It was the bad guy's wife. So she got turned back into a person, and they all went off all happy in the end.
It's nice to have a happy ending, because
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Okay. So, what brought you, or how did you discover Druidry, or what brought you to Obad in particular?
Well, as I say, I came to Tintagel with my daughter for a long weekend, and we stayed in the caravan park, and she fell in love with the son of the parents who owned the caravan park, and refused to go back home.
That's lovely.
I wasn't going to leave her there. So I'm cutting a long story short. So I was living in caravans the other side of Salisbury, so I sold those, left those, and lived on the park with her. The park got sold because of ill health, and I've become homeless. By this time, my other son had joined me, and we were sat there, and he was saying, well, we've got to go by Saturday. It's Tuesday, Mum. Don't worry, something will turn up. And he went off down to Tintagel from Bassini just to go in the village and think Mum's crazy.
Yeah.
And by the time he'd come back, I had a telephone call from the estate agent to say there was a flat to see up at Rocky Valley near St Nectans. So he couldn't believe it. So he went up to the flat, and this lady opened the door, and it was like we'd known each other, but didn't. And she put her arms around me and she said, "This has all been cleared for you." I went, okay. I understood what she meant, because it's sort of been exploring various pathways since then. And we looked at the flat, and they told me there'd be a something left on the table for me when we moved in. Well, we moved in on the Saturday, and on the table was the website address for OBOD. So I looked at the website address, contacted OBOD, and haven't turned back since, really. That was that. It was
How
really, really strange. Tried to find out who the lady is. They were going back to Sussex. They had to go back to Sussex. I think it was about a year ago, somebody had come on Dave's podcast, and I thought, oh, I wonder if that's her. And he found out, but it wasn't. So I still haven't found out who the O-bodies were who left me the address, but I am so, so grateful to them.
Wow, that is, I mean, the whole story is, I mean, on Tuesday, you're being evicted on Saturday and you weren't concerned and you knew that something would come. I mean, that takes incredible strength and courage and trust in the universe to be able to say something will turn up and for it to happen that quickly. Yeah.
It was amazing. It really was. And I've connected, you know, you get your introductory girths and work through them, and the connections there were amazing. And we look out the front room windows and overlook the Atlantic, and yeah, that was how I became a member of OBOD.
And are you still in that same flat, or have you moved to a different?
No, I've moved twice since then. I'm in a little bungalow now, a little place called, it's spelt Trek now, but it's Treno.
Okay.
And it's about a mile out of Tintagel itself.
Okay.
As you, I can hear the ocean. Beautiful. And you hear it vibrating in the caves underneath. We get little earthquakes here sometimes.
So are you saying that there are kind of caves underneath your house, or some? Wow.
Yeah, you can feel a lot of them. They dynamited to stop people going in, and they used them for smuggling and various other things. And people were going in, and obviously being tidal, they weren't coming back out again. Okay. So they were dynamited, but you've got the rest of the cave sort of, it gets blocked off, then you've got the rest of it underneath your home, and you can hear echoes through them, and it's pretty amazing. It really is.
Wow. Somebody, do you know Georgia Stone?
Oh yes, hiya. Hello, lovely.
What she says about you. Sandy is incredibly modest. You need to know this.
Oh, no. Oh, she's naughty. Yeah, I am really, as I said to you before we started, I like to sort of help other people and talk to them and help them more than the other way around. That's me. Oh, lots of love to you, Georgia.
And then Rachel Birch is saying hello from a fellow Grove member.
Oh, hi, Rachel. How are you? I love your pictures you put up this week. Beautiful. Rachel does some marvellous photography. Really wonderful. Okay. Yeah, have a look. Yeah.
And Albie is also saying hi to you.
Oh, and Albie. Oh, send you a big hug, Albie. Thank you. And one to Bo as well, because I'm sure she'll be there as well.
That's lovely. So, and Agatha says, it's wonderful to live in harmony with those caves, because I imagine some people would be terrified, you know, it's like they're a bit noisy, or, you know, and Marion and Robin are saying hello as well.
Oh, I said to you I was a Grove Gypsy. That's the other grove I go to in Bournemouth. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Rob. I hope you're nice and warm there. I can feel your wood burning stove from here, and lovely. Sorry, I'm coming up that way next weekend, so I'll give you a shout on the Sunday to see if you're around.
And Richard Smith says, it's good to see you here. So anyway, you've got quite a fan club here.
Oh, so, no, it's friends. It's friends, and they're lovely, lovely people.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So to get back to your modesty and all the things you do, because I know there are certain things you do, and I'm really interested in hearing it. You know, you work with animals, and how does your druidry help you do that?
Well, I think it was we learned to sort of take on their energy, shape shift maybe sometimes, but I feel animals can see more than what we can on certain things, and if you look at them, they see things within you. They know if you're not very well, they know if you're not a very nice person, and they will go. I think that sort of on the that's something which Druidry has brought out in me, a more, I think it's called animist side of my nature. Very sort of, it just wants to reach out and hug them. And I work with, got a murder of crows, which is just not very far away. And they come and visit, they leave gifts, I leave gifts for them, and they bring back little gifts for me. And I talked to them, and I did an experiment a little while ago, and I was stood out on the headland, and I called them to see if they would come, because they fly in a direct line. And they came, and I thought, oh, this is good. So I had to give them some chips, but they didn't mind. They saw off the seagulls and had some chips. They're wonderful. They protect my garden, because seagulls, everything's got a right to live and fly, but they can be a real nasty to the other birds and attack sort of certain things. I had some doves nesting in a little Leylandii hedge, which was here before I moved here, and I didn't think anything lived in it or whatever. And we had some doves, and the seagulls were coming to try to get to the doves, and the crows actually protected the doves and threw the seagulls off. That was amazing.
That's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to, look after rescue corvids or anything like that?
No. I've worked as a volunteer with the Cornwall wildlife people and the Polsef Marine Group. We've got certain people who I used to do what they called the hotline as well. That would be if somebody found like a rescue seal had come up, or a bird that was in distress. Sometimes they get me on the phone, then I'd have a coordinator that would go out and attend with that. Mine seems to be a different level of connection. I haven't found many that's been poorly that I've had to bring home.
Okay.
I found there was a red kite, goodness knows where it had come from, and it was above me on the coast path above Lantern Quarry, and it wouldn't go. And I thought, well, what's going on here? And it was showing me a baby seal had literally been separated from its mother. And I was able to telephone the rescue hotline, and they came out and made sure it was separated and took it down to the seal sanctuary in Greek. But as soon as I made the telephone call, the red kite just sort of did a little okay, and off it went. Never seen it since. That was pretty amazing.
And I don't know, do red kites eat baby seals?
I don't think so. Seagulls do. I've never seen them attack seals. They tend to fly with them, or you get I've forgotten the name. There's certain birds that fly with them rather than attack them.
Certain birds fly with the seals as the seals are swimming?
Yeah, and the same with dolphins. When you're going out, Georgia, if you're listening, what's the seabird that's got the yellow on its neck and head? I can't think of the right name of that. If you'll see a flock of those, and you can guarantee there's dolphins underneath. We had a pod of about 115, 120 join us on one of the surveys. Gannet, that's right. Thank you. Names go out of my head, something awful. But we had those join us on the survey. That that was the highest number we'd had. I was
100. Wow.
It was over 100, and they've all got different markings on the dolphins, the same as seals. There's a humpback whale, which is around at the moment, and
I'm envious.
It's marvelous. Yeah.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Neem says, I hope I've pronounced your name properly. Red kites only eat carrion. I know a red kite in Tanzania stole. I had a drum chicken in my hand, and I was talking, and then this shadow came over me, and then I had nothing in my hand. I didn't even feel the bird taking.
Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah.
They could be greedy. I just love to see them. But that is fascinating. So the dolphins or the seals, and then the gannets will follow them. So I'm assuming the seals or the dolphins will indicate fish, and then the gannets can share as well, I imagine.
Yes, I should imagine that's why that is. But you look for them and you think, oh yes, we got a dolphin fest, or you don't tend to get so many seals together as you do dolphins. But the pupping season this year was quite short to what it is normally.
The what season?
The pupping season for the seals. That was quite short. We're waiting for some test results to come back from they take test things from the water, see if there's any particular reason for it. So they're testing in the water and things. Find out why that happened.
Wow, that's just lovely.
Yeah.
And yes, Karen says a symbiotic relationship between animals is beautiful. So, and George says avian bird flu. But that's for birds. You're talking about the pupping season for the seals, aren't you?
Yeah. But also, that could have had something to do with we've had a decrease in some things and other things increase at the moment.
Okay.
So in the summer one of 2020, the adder population, I wouldn't say it doubled or tripled. It was just the whole of the cliffs were covered in adders because they come out with adders. Yeah, there was no humans.
Go on, tell me more about this.
Well, it was all over sort of during the first lockdown period. It became really warm, and they had peace and quiet, and they weren't hiding. They came out of all the bracken, which is on the coast path here, and it was just, somebody said it was like something off the Harrison Ford films, where there were so many of them. They were going along the paths. They literally, well, I think what I can gather, it's probably 10 times the amount that would normally be around. And it was all along the coast path here, and people were going with their dogs, but the local people knew what was happening, so they made sure the dogs didn't get bitten or anything nasty happened to the dogs.
Do adders move away quickly?
Yeah, they go quite fast. It's normally only a few, you sort of tread on them, that they turn around and attack you, or you're frightened. You're going onto their territory when you're going through the bracken and heather. So that's their home. If somebody come into your home and huge thing, you probably want to attack them as well, wouldn't you?
Yes, and I've never seen an adder. I've seen a puff adder in Africa, but I've never seen we don't have snakes here in the wild, and I've never seen I've never seen any in Britain. Anytime I've been over, I've never seen them. Oh, I'd love to. Brilliant. Snake.
Say if you come here in the summer or late spring, summer, that's when you find them.
Oh, wonderful.
They tend to go underground a little bit when the main tourist season comes.
Okay.
They can be, sit there quiet, and they will come. I went, going totally off of adders, I was invited to the Beaver Project, and I went down there back in the spring, and it's amazing what the beavers are doing. And they've stopped flooding in some of the villages further down.
Wow.
They've brought them up at this place called Laddock, and they've brought them up and they've made all their dams and houses, and they've cleansed the water and stopped some of the villages flooding as well. So I was lucky to see the beavers.
They were reintroduced to these people, or not these people, these places. Okay.
Yeah. It was featured on Spring Watch at one time. It was done there, and because I couldn't go around with the rest of them, I was privileged in a way. I could go with this young lady took me round, and I was sat there and she said, "Oh, you might be lucky, you might see one." I found out it was her parents who had the farm there, and we were sat there talking, and all of a sudden the 2 or 3 came up and she went, "Oh, that is so unusual." I went, okay. But I think they know, and they come up on the lands past us, and I said, I want to go back and connect with those and write a story about those, because they're amazing creatures. We a lot, I don't think it's much within the Druidry, but a lot of people think animals haven't got much brains, but I think they got more than what we got, to be honest.
And Lisa says it's so lovely that endangered species are coming back after being introduced. Ospreys are doing well too.
Oh, brilliant. They're lovely. I could talk about animals and birds and caves and oceans all day.
Beautiful. When I was a child, there were no buzzards in Ireland, and they've come. And I know they've introduced kites, and there were never any woodpeckers. And in woods that I was walking there today, I have heard woodpeckers there. I remember.
Oh, amazing.
I could hear this, and I thought, well, we don't have woodpeckers. And I recorded it, and I sent it to my friend Marcus, who's he knows his bird calls. He lives in Tuscany, and I texted. I said, WhatsApp that to him. Who's doing this? And he goes, it's a green woodpecker.
Oh, amazing.
I had heard that someone had been introduced into a secret place, and I know it wasn't Kilkenny. I think they've moved or whatever, or they've migrated. So it's just so lovely and we've had eagle projects and things like that, introducing eagles as well, the golden eagles. So it's long may we continue to bring back those species. And one interesting one is the crane, which obviously features, well, certainly in Irish mythology, like you have your crane bag. They were extinct for about 400 years, and they've come back.
Oh, wow.
You're talking about just, a few pairs, not many. But that's just lovely. And I think they came back in 2012. And they've come back to places where they had been here 400 years ago. I mean, that's incredible that somehow that animal folk memory is there, that they come back. So let more of this happen.
Yes, yeah, very much so. I was going to ask if anybody had sort of been to St Nectan's recently or back in the past, if anybody watching's been there.
It'll take a while for it to come up, but while we're waiting, I don't know if it's Taimi. I don't know how to pronounce that. She's in Finland. She's talking about her cat brought 4 in young ones. They played dead but were alive. I think she's talking about snakes, adders. So she said, I lifted to the leaf compost with a long stick. So the cat and they played dead. So the cat brought in 4 young ones. Wow, clever snakes. And animals do that. Anyway, I've been to St Nectan's Glen, and I was just amazed at that keeve. That what looks like, if anyone, it's like a round window in a large rock.
Yeah.
And the waterfall flowing it. And they say, it's an entrance to the other world. And sometimes you can see a rainbow through it. Oh, just incredible. Absolutely magical. Lisa wants to know, can you get there in winter? Yes, I'm sure you can get there in winter.
Yes. Yeah, it's open until dark. But you can walk up through. It's I'm sure it's dusk or dark that they close off because health and safety. But they do private. They will open up if you wanted to do a private ceremony or things. You can make arrangements to do that down there. Into a few hand fastings and various things down into the actual glen where the waterfall is.
It's absolutely beautiful, and I walked along that little woods, along that brook, that little stream. Not the Rocky Glen, is it?
No, that is that is the St Nectan's Glen walk when you, when you go up that path.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Yeah,
it's pretty good. But it's the same water as it connects down to Rocky Valley, which is literally the other side of the road, and then that goes out to the ocean. But it's well recommended if anybody goes there is to walk down there, because the energy, when you sort of get past a certain point and you go around, and suddenly the energy of the rivers, you've got a vast ocean and you can feel it, and it's worth going just for that, but not on a stormy day, because unfortunately we've had a few people that have not come back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A wind, wind's taken them or something.
Wow.
That's not so good then.
No, but I found something about that walk just very, very peaceful. Just
it is peaceful, and so you've got all the different birds. It's like going into a sacred grove in a way, and you're in a grove, isn't it?
That's right.
You're going from there. Yeah, so very much so.
And Celine said she went to Penzance when she was 15 after visiting Stonehenge and touching some of the stones in 1976. She said Cornwall had this Stonehenge feeling. Now I understand.
Yeah. We've got some stone circles here.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. There's one which I visit in particular, which is near Router, and we've got tors, we haven't got mountains, and it's sort of nestled between Router and Brown Willie on the tors, and it really feels like you're going into Announ when you go there. It's a very old stone circle. I think it's one of the oldest in Cornwall.
Okay.
And I've gone there a few times to do various ceremonies. One in particular was a summer solstice ceremony, and I went with another ABOD lady called Mads, and she was working during the daytime, so we went up in the evening to do something. And I think she was pretty amazed by it, because we cast up and did everything like you do, and the white horse come down with the other horses, and they just stand outside of the stone circle until you've done what you're going to do and uncast, and then they're walking. And I always say that's like the spirit of Rhiannon and Manawydan are there. It really is magical. There's another 2 or 3 which I can't get to because of.
I just want to come back. I think just to come back to these white horses. Are they wild horses?
Yeah.
So they come to the end of the circle. They don't enter until you have uncast after, and then they come in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. It really is. And they stand and watch. They watch you. They just stand back and watch you.
And they come in the circle while you're still in there.
Yeah, but once it's uncast, they wait for it to be uncast. It's something to be experienced.
Wow.
It really is. It's amazing place. And we've got lots of sort of other stone circles around, and ancient Iron Age settlements. That's out on the moor.
Okay. David has a question. Is Tyndagel a site of pilgrimage, and does it have a sacred well at its centre?
I wouldn't say the sacred well's at its centre. You have got there's a well up on the way to St Nectan's. You've got St Nectan's well. I did a well. There's one at Davistow. There's a lot of sacred wells around here. If you wanted to do like a pilgrimage, I think there's 3 in Bodmin. There's quite a few out on the moor. A lot of them have got overgrown now, but you can still find them.
Okay.
Tintagel is more for tourists, Arthurian-based visitors, but more like say St Matriana's, which I mentioned earlier, is quite nice, but there isn't a well there, unfortunately. I think you're better off going inland a little bit on the moor to find the sacred wells. Davidstow's, they've got a nice one. Managed to find that, and a few weeks after I'd found it, I've noticed that they've done the footpath to it properly, so that was nice. I don't think it had been visited for a long time.
It just took you to go there for all that to happen. Yeah. That's beautiful. And St. Marion, sorry, go on.
Sorry, St. Piran's well is on the way to St. Nectan's Glen.
Now, you know where St. Piran came from?
Yes. Yes, he did. And then we've claimed him, you see.
and you changed his name. Well, St. Kieran, we would call it, so Piran, Kieran, the P in the key, because Cornish is P Celtic and Irish is Q Celtic, so it has that K sound as opposed to a P sound. But yes, Kieran came from Ireland and went to Cornwall.
Yes, they say if Tintagel's ever going to be in danger, we'll hear his bell ringing out at sea.
Ah, okay.
The legend of the bell. You hear his bell. So there's a little tiny church there. That's on the way to St. Nett's. I don't know if you saw that when you went up on the walk to St. Nett's. Tiniest church. It's about the size of somebody's front room or something. But again, that's very, very old, and it's been built on something else that was below it, and the same as the one down in Boscastle, Downminster Church. That one's quite spooky, to say the least.
Really? Is there anything written about what was there before the church?
Not at St. Nectan's one, there isn't, but at Boscastle at Minster Church, they're saying that again was an ancient burial site for Celts. And it's just outside of there that they buried the bones of the witch Joan. So she was.
Who was she? Sorry, who was she? Sorry.
She was what we can make out. She was a wise woman of sort of a couple of centuries ago, and she was. They said that she probably had raging toothache or something, but she was taken into the mental hospital in Bodmin Jail, and after she got killed, they take her bones and her skeleton, and all sorts of horrible things happened to her. And eventually the people who had the Witchcraft Museum managed to get her bones there, and then they've buried them.
Wow.
But she wasn't allowed to be buried in the consecrated ground at Minster Church, so she had to be buried just outside. They've named her Joan.
Jane. Okay.
Joan. J-O. Yeah. If you go to the Witchcraft Museum in Boscastle, you'll find a lot of the things are named there after her. Outside, they've got a herbal garden, which they've called Joan's Garden. And inside, they've got Joan's Cottage, which would have been like the Wise Woman Witch Cottage. And should be sat there with a crystal ball and a cat and a fire in there.
When I went to the Witchcraft Museum in Boscastle, I only got to see the more Wiccan side. It's divided in two. They'd had a power cut or something, so there was no lighting in the more traditional witching. So I didn't get to see that part. So I'd like to go back again. So, and you know that the medallion that I got when with the confirmation ceremony in Glastonbury. Well, there's a replica of that, and I don't know if it's gone yet, but that is going to be on display in Boscastle, in the museum in Boscastle.
Oh, brilliant. It closes. That is something that closes at Samhain, and then it'll open again. It's in the spring, by spring, not Easter. Yeah, that'll reopen. So I'll have to go down and have a look.
I don't know if I know Philip and Stephanie were to go there and to give it. So and then Georgia says Adrian Rook's ohm carvings were there the last time she went. Oh, very interesting. And his own carvings are just beautiful.
Yeah, I've got this was, well, I've got a couple of Adrians. Don't know if you can see them. Oops, I'm reversed. That was that's the ohm for you.
Yeah.
Which Adrian kindly gifted me after he'd done my ovate initiation for me.
Lovely.
And that's his birch one.
Beautiful.
I've had it many years, and it hasn't ever left me. And he was I found I love working with Owen.
Yes, and you have a book. So
yes.
Tell us your book.
Yes. Well, sorry if I show it to you. I apologise for the rights. It's because I've had to keep the proof copy because all the others have gone. There we are, Pete.
Owen and the Wood Wide Web. Actually, I put it into the chat because it's you and two other authors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here.
Sorry. Shall I just carry on chatting?
Yes, keep chatting. So I've just put it in there. And who are the your two co-authors?
It's Wendy Trevenna and Diane Maxey.
Wendy Trevenna.
Wendy's a high Wiccan.
Diana
Maxey.
Okay, so tell us about them. Yeah.
Yep. We're all sort of in a Wendy's a high priestess and very much 100% Wicca. Diane is Obod, but she's practicing druidcraft as well. Diane has done she was a midwife. She's coming into her twilight years, same as I am and Wendy. And it was it was after lockdown. Wendy had done a book with a second book on runes during lockdown, which was published, and then she wanted to do another one, and she really wanted to sort of work on the Owen one. So we three of us put our heads together. So I love her, and I learnt it in my bardic grades. I was suddenly sort of drawn to Owen at that point, and worked with it ever since. So we put our heads together. I said it was like three of us over a cauldron, and it was literally a year and a day afterwards the book was out, published. But it's like an encyclopedia because we've all put our different pieces in. And for anybody who's interested, it goes back round you've got your different runes which correspond with the various Owens. There's been a lot of research on runes and crystals, when to use them, how to use the Owen for healing, divination. And Diane, with her medical knowledge, she understands all the technical names of the different enzymes that the trees and things produce. So we've got all the healing parts in that. There's a bit of history on the ash staff that was found at Anglesey. And so it's a bit of everything for everybody. It's more like an encyclopedia. And the first thing I'd recommend is somebody who just sort of sticks with like one sequence. I got in a right muddle because I learnt the Celtic Reiki when I was doing my Bardic. And then I brought John and Caitlin's Matthews set of the Celtic Tarot sets. I was into tarot previously. And I couldn't work out what was going on for ages, then realised there's different sequences. It took me a while to sort that out. So I'd stay with one sequence because I couldn't work it out for a long time because I'd learned to say it's for Celtic Reiki for healing, which I used on plants, trees, animals. And it was actually Sean Haynes who came up to me, I think it was at the 2018 gathering. And because I normally would be doing tarot readings, sat in the little corner of the market and things like that. And he was speaking to me and he said, "You've got to do more with your OM and you've got to learn the divination." I went, "Where did that come from, Sean?" He said, "Oh, next time I see you, you know what it's like." He said, "I want to make sure." So that's all come into it now. So it's been a build-up of a lot of years' work, and Wendy with her experience sort of formatting. If it was down to me, it would probably still be there on the computer in a big jumble and bits of paper here, there and everywhere. I had to dig through sort of old books that I'd written notes on, and you know, she sort of pulled it all together and out of the cauldron. So I'm really grateful to Wendy.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
now, everybody wants to know. Okay, so everybody wants to know where can they buy the book? Because Neem asked, was it in our Obod, the online shop? Is it for sale on Obod?
Yes, it is.
And then, thank you. And Adrian Weaver says, "This will be a wonderful read. Thank you for the sound advice because I've got a tendency to wander." That's really nice. So Sandra Lane says it's on Amazon in paperback and Kindle.
Yeah. I'm only on my phone, not a laptop, so I can't send you the link to get it on the... Is there anybody on the Obod website that can send the link up from the shop to somebody?
Well, you'll find it if you go into druidry.org, you should be able to get to the shop from there, and then it should be fairly simple. Yeah, great. So anyway, there's plenty of interest for this, and I mean, I thought I had it on my desk here, but I don't. I had it there. So anyway, sorry about that. I could have flipped through it, but anyway, it's a great achievement. And what's fascinating is that you have, 3 different perspectives, and I think that's fascinating too. And how it's amazing how the 3 of you were able to work and create a synthesis so that you actually produce like that, with the various correspondences. I think, Georgia has put up the link. Thank you, Georgia, to be able to do that. And it's very refreshing when you have people from 3 different perspectives and disciplines to be able to come together and actually create something like that. So well done.
Yes, it was. Say they're really lovely people. That's why when I talk about anybody, I like them a lot. I want to hug them. That's me. If you see me go like this, it's because it's like Georgia. I know Georgia well, and send you another big hug, and thank you for putting that up.
And then I think it's Tammy or Taimi. I don't know. This is the woman from Finland. All good things come in 3s. Well, I can't argue with that. That's lovely. Yeah. And then George has actually put a more direct link because it's your name is there as well. So
lovely. Thank you.
So wonderful. Absolutely. So you were talking about readings and you mentioned tarot, and I know you use the animal oracle. So what do you now do, or do you mix them when you're doing a reading?
I don't tend to mix them. I use the animal oracle a lot if it's sort of a single question for guidance, maybe for that day.
Okay.
I tend to, and I find it so accurate. It really is accurate, and it's amazing. Philip and Stephanie have done some
Haven't they?
wonderful work there, and the plant oracle. You can cross it with the plant oracle on a reading, but I do tend to keep. And then I've got their Druidcraft tarot set as well. One time I was very stuck with it's a very old Egyptian tarot, which I was using before joining ABOD, and probably about 5-6 years into ABOD, I still use that one. But I do tend to, I've sort of evolved over the years, and I do tend to use the Druidcraft tarot now. And I also got Christopher Hughes's one, which is really good.
Which one?
It was I don't know which one it's called, but I found it.
Well, I know he's working on a number of decks. So
Yeah, it was. I think it's called the Celtic.
Oh yes, the Celtic.
Yeah, that one. I did like that one. That was a really good one. Never really felt like been inclined to do my own set. A lot of people have sort of. I remember Scylla. I don't know if you've met Scylla. She's done quite a few different decks. She's marvelous. She's out. I think she's Tuscany, Italy way now.
Okay.
But she's a marvelous artist and has done quite a few sets. Philip had one of hers on a little while ago.
Yeah, he did the Opera Tarot. Is that the one you're talking about?
No. Oh, I don't know. It might have been. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do get in a muddle.
So it's interesting, if it was Sean who said you will write a book and who knows? When you are so familiar with your tarot, who knows? You may be inspired too.
Yeah. So it was Sean who he sort of told me to do my divination with learn the divination side of the OM, because I've only ever used it for healing. Healing different people. So it's. And I also, I know he's not able, but I use Grey Wolf's set of oracle cards, and I do a combination. If I've got a few people around and we're having a meet up, I'll do like the central altar to Ogma, then lay out like the set of cards. Nobody from ABOD, as far as I know, I haven't found anybody who's done a set of OM cards. So hopefully Philip and Stephanie will do some. And I lay those out face down and have them go around and feel, which one's correct for them, and then put their hand in to pull out an OM stick and then do the meanings for them afterwards. And that's been really successful.
It is very, very powerful. At the Ovate Grove meeting, we created our own cards this year at the summer gathering. I got people just to hold in threes, to hold a plant or a branch, and then to go into a meditation and come out with their own. So
I'm sure I came to that one because I was at summer gathering. I'm sure I must come up in there. I remember they were.
Are you an Ovate? Are you you're not an Ovate, are you?
Oh no, I was up. Yeah.
That's why you were there.
Yeah.
So Paul has just said, just bought your book online. Looking forward to reading it. So that's a quick sale.
Oh, bless you.
And Rachel says she's done 3 oracle decks, Sandy, but not home, but forest ones that she'll have to show you sometime.
Yeah, lovely. I do like the divination. It always fascinates me, and there's some nice sets out there.
Wonderful.
I've got some. Sorry, I was just. Do you mind if I have a quick drink? I'm getting ever so dry.
Absolutely. Now, this is a question while you're having your drink. David, again, in my imagination, Tintagel is, as you said, a powerful place mystically. Do you find that any of the spirits of place come through in your oracle readings?
When I do the oracle readings, I tend to put a protective shield around myself and the person I'm reading for. It tends to be more anybody who might want to come through and speak to them. I do warn them before I do a reading that I can, if I get a message that is not within the cards, are they happy to receive it? So that does happen, but I do put a protective shield around in case anything like that happens.
Okay.
That protects people, protects both of us then.
Okay. All right. Now you, somebody says here, we got Ohm cards from Wildways, and I know you've done work with Elaine and Garth. Just tell us what you do in Wildways and what Wildways is.
Wildways. Oh, how do we explain Wildways? It's a beautiful retreat place. We hold. It used to be OBOD camps, and now it's the White Horse camps. We go there. Elaine and Garth have got the house. It's Elaine's land and forests. If you've got access to the internet, have a look, because she's got a pottery, many craft works there. There's a stone circle down the bottom. She's got an iron. They've done a replica of an Iron Age sort of building, roundhouse. That's right there. Yeah, so you've got the roundhouse you can use there, and the energy there is just amazing. And Garth does a lot to do with he was a cabinet maker, so he's does quite a lot on the woodwork. But you sort of, it's one of those places you go there and you feel like you've come home. And so if you go there to a camp, but they also have private functions. So if somebody wanted to go there and have a party, say of 10 or 12 people, then they accommodate them. And there's also a yurt down in the bottom field that they can the wood burner in, keep you warm.
And Georgia's put in the link as well for Wildways. Thank you, Georgia.
Oh, keeping you busy tonight, aren't we?
And she's put a link for Rachel Birch's books as well. That is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been, and I've seen Elaine's quirky pottery.
Yeah.
At the winter gatherings, she's often brought that on a stall, which is really, really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it is. She does do those. I say, Garth. The Owen set of cards that they're designed by Grey Wolf, Philip Shellcrass.
Okay.
Yeah, he put all those together. I think they can only be brought through BDO or from Wildways in a little. They call them a little shop. It's very tiny.
They're small. I have them. They're very simple cards, aren't they?
They're green with a red OM on them.
Yes, I have them. Yeah.
Okay. They're nice, small set. But Peter Conwick, I don't know if anybody's heard of him. He's done a lot of artwork back in the 60s for different album covers. Then he's done a lot to do with the Hobbits, and really good artist. They had a shop in Tintagel. He's done a set, but I should have brought them at the time when the shop was open, because I think he was charging £35. Now they're about 150 since the shop's shut. And I wish I'd bought a set what he designed on the own ones.
Wow.
Yes, I was amazed when I looked. His artwork is amazing.
Really brilliant.
Some of anybody who knows Adrian, some of his tattoos, I think were designed by Pete Conwick as well.
Well, exactly, because Adrian's tattoos are just amazing.
Yes. Yeah, he's amazing man.
Absolutely.
If you're watching, and you, Joe.
Sorry?
I was just sending him lots of stuff if he's watching.
So
very, very good friend.
We are absolutely. I was just thinking, when how has, as you're on the Druid path, how has it, or have there been times when it has really supported you?
Oh gosh. Wow. I'd say, apart from transforming me and supporting me, it was when my mum was dying.
Okay.
Yeah, and afterwards, I don't think I could have got through that. We all say we don't think we could have got through it, but the support and love, and I sat there week after week. I was called up, so I used to go up and help take care. I spent more time in Bournemouth than what I did in Cornwall for one point, and it was sort of during that time I was recovering from having a knee replacement and managed to get up to see her and stay with her. And then she gave up the sort of will to live, and they gave it up. They said she had a form of dementia when you stop eating, so she was starving, and she said she didn't want to go into hospital. So we sat with her in the care home for quite a few weeks, and sort of the support from the Druid members, the Grove, going into my inner grove. I would take Mum on walks. I'd hold onto her hand like we're taught to journey into the forest, and I'd take her for walks into the forest or down into Boscastle, like I've learnt to do through Druidry. And afterwards, I'd be sat out in the garden and getting really upset, and a blackbird would come and sit, or a robin, and talk to me. I would never have connected that before Druidry, so I think that was very, very much part of the Druidry held me. And Pete, Marianne and Rob visited Tintagel, and I saw them, and they took me to St Nectan's because I had a lot of other things going on at that time, sort of within the family and things, and they did something with me. I don't know quite what, but it was a type of healing and blessing, and took me down in St Nectan's, and that really lifted a lot of sort of residue things that were from after losing my mum.
Wow.
Yeah, that really helped. Really helped.
Marion just sends you a big hug now. I
Oh,
just want to go back to this
mhm.
inner journeying you did, taking your mother with you, down to the Glen, to Boscastle. So you're in the room with her and you're doing your meditation, you're going in. Did you notice any change in her
Yeah,
when you were taking her, obviously on the astral plane?
yes. Before we'd journey, she would be, I think they call it the fire stage, in the death process. So she'd be very anxious, very agitated, and I was told not to touch her, but I really wanted to hold her hand, so I said,
You did.
look, can I hold your hand, Mum? Put your hand in mine, and I'm going to take you somewhere. And I'd speak to her, and she put her hand in, and then the calmness that would come over her when I took her on these journeys was incredible, and it worked. She we go maybe for half an hour, and I just talk to her and take her up on these journeys.
So when you're going on the journey, are you telling her where we're going? Were you talking her through it, so guiding her as well on the same journey?
Yes.
She knew exactly where you were taking her.
Yeah. She didn't always know.
Okay.
She knew Boscastle quite well because I'd taken her there quite a few times. We used to I lived near the New Forest when I was growing up. So I'd take her to places that we'd been to in the New Forest. So she was a little bit familiar, but the rest of it was left to her imagination where we'd go. I knew what her favourite trees were, what her favourite plants were, so I could bring the smells in for her, and the birds. so that she could. I'd say, "Oh, your robin." We called them her robins because she had loads of robins she used to visit, and squirrels used to come, and so I'd take her on those sorts of journeys, or down the sea. When I lived at the other side of Salisbury in the caravans, I used to turn up there about 11:30 at night, and she used to call me a crazy daughter. I said, "Mum, I've just got to go to the ocean. Do you want to come?" So she'd get out of bed and get dressed, and off she'd come with me. Bless her, she was in her 70s then. And we go down and sit there, and then come back home, have a hot chocolate, and tuck up and go back to bed. But she was really amazing.
But what, John, you've just taken my words, John King. What a wonderful gift. I was about to say that. But what a wonderful gift you have to do that. But to give to her when you were told she's in this stage, in this phase, and you are not to touch her. And obviously you didn't listen to that. And, you invite her to take your hand. And what a power in the power of touch. And for you to be able to take her on a journey like that. And how I've never done that. It's like, okay, let's go on. I'm leading people in guided imagery, yes, but the idea of just taking her with her state as she was and saying, we are now going on a journey, and holding hands together. How beautiful!
It sort of came natural as a druid to do that. To invite somebody to hold your hand rather than to just
their hand, yes,
grasp theirs. It was just a natural thing to do. And obviously there's a lot of distance support and healing coming in. And when the carers would come into the room, she was in a care home in Bournemouth, which I felt really guilty about, because I used to go and care and stay in the bungalow with her. Then I had to have my knee replaced, and I was really worried that once this was done, something would happen, and I didn't want to have it done. But it was collapsing on me, and I was ending up in a heap in the road, and cars nearly getting with me and things. So they said
it needed to be
done. And she'd had a fall and broken the top part of her humerus, and nobody was there to sort of who could look after her when she came out of hospital, so they put her into a care home temporarily. But then she realised she wasn't going to be able to live at home on her own after that, because at that age you become sort of she'd forgotten how to cook. She could just about make a cup of tea and things like this. And I said to her, well, come to Cornwall, Mum, and come and live with me. But she really didn't want to come and live here. She wanted to stay in Bournemouth,
Okay.
But it was really. I've gone off on a tangent. Can you pull me back in?
I'm just interesting, that relationship you had with her, and to be able to weave that in. I've been able to calm her where the carers weren't. It's like, well, that's that phase, and how you just tune in, offer, make an offering to her, and she goes along with you. That's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I know when our loved ones, it's okay, you couldn't care for in your own home because of all the things that you've just outlined, but to be able to do that, to bring her peace in her last days or weeks or whatever it was, how long you were doing it, just what a gift, just beautiful,
Yeah, and so I'm sure the support and everything I've learnt through OBOD, that really, really helped. It really helped. And I can't say enough how much sort of OBOD changed my life from the moment when I found that website address on the table.
So how were you before that, and how are you now? A before and after picture.
Right, but I was quite an angry person. I used to get very frustrated. I I'd gone through quite a lot of violence and different things,
Okay.
and that had to sort of I was scarred up a little bit and stuff, and there's no excuse for it, but somebody would look at me the wrong way. I'd really go to town. I wasn't afraid. I did channel at one point. I used to do judo. I learnt that for self-defense, and I used to fight for Hampshire. And it was judo that saved my life in a way, on a motorbike accident.
You learned how to fall properly.
Grateful. I was doing it probably 3 or 4 times a week, and that time that really, doing the judo was really helped on sort of everything that was going on in the background, which I didn't really want to speak too much about because it was really private
And
family
it's
things.
really interesting. And judo means the gentle way. I did it for a while. Oh, long time ago. And I suppose it's probably outside qigong is probably the or tai chi. It's one of the gentlest of martial arts. I could be wrong, but because then it's like, and you learned how to fall off your bike, so you didn't sort of break your wrists or whatever. Wow.
As I was pillion, and I didn't know what was happening, to be honest, and it came off the back, and I just knew something was going. And you automatically, when you've done it for so long, as you tuck your head in to go for a brake fall.
Yeah.
Well, the first brake fall was off the bonnet of the car, and the second one went into the island in the road. And I knew I just felt everything smash, and that was when I was taken. But thankfully, they brought me back 2 or 3 times. They brought me back. I was just completely smashed up one side, and all down left-hand side where your heart is, and my ribs were broken, punched my lungs, things like that. But my head, I broke a piece off from the back of my neck, but they said it's too dangerous to take it out. So I can only turn it a little way, one way.
Okay.
But at least I can still, got back to that stage sort of 15, 20 years. Yeah, I'm limited to some things what I can do, but my golly, it sort of changed my life, especially after being resuscitated. I've been to the other side and back again. And
so what was that like?
the other, all I can say was the feeling of peace, overwhelming love and colours. My word, you can't even describe them. I've never actually taken any hallucinogenics, but I should imagine it would be the same sort of euphoria as somebody who took those.
Wow.
I wanted to stay where I was. It was a beautiful, beautiful place, and I could see my grandmother in front of me. And I'd lost her probably 6, 8 months previous.
Wow.
And she was there for me. Then she said, "Your children need you. It's not your time." And it was like a vortex being sucked back, like a vortex. And then I came round, and there was a blonde lady holding my hand. And obviously the ambulance crew had worked on me at that point, and they were trying to sort of get me off of the road and into the ambulance. And then I went again, but the third time I was in the hospital, and I fought it on the third one because my son had come to the hospital and he was holding my hand, But I'd honestly say it's not somewhere I'm frightened to go. I'm really not frightened of dying after that experience. And I did write a poem about it. I don't know if you'd like me to read that one.
I'd love to hear it. I know our viewers would love to hear it as well.
Okay. I'm sorry for anybody who's at Whitehall's camps, because I read it out to you at the end of Vimalt this year, but I thought it was Right.
Well, you know, people like to listen to the same songs over and over again. I bet you people
Oh,
like to
okay.
hear the same poem over and over again.
Oh, okay. I titles it From Death to Rebirth. Do not be afraid to die, my friends, for this is a place I have been many times before, both in this life and in the past. This is a place of nature, guardians, angels, peace and love. There are many colours here, none of which I have seen before, therefore unable to describe them. There is a warmth within my spirit. I am free from my earthly shell, like a caterpillar who has now become a butterfly. Tell your loved ones, laugh as much as they cry. This is the balance of Mother Nature's inner healing. One day you will also be blessed with this wonderful transformation. Like the turning of the seasons of the earth, you are also part of the circle of life, death, and rebirth. Until we meet again within the great circle of the universe, bright blessings and inner peace be within you. Now, I wrote that on the 19th of August 2006. It was like you get your R-Wen come through and then you write something. And after I'd written that, I realised it was 9 years, exactly 9 years to the day that had happened.
Wow, 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 wow.
So there's something really amazing about the number 9, isn't there? And
Oh, absolutely. And where were you when it came to you? What were you doing on the 19th of August?
I'd literally just woken up. I was at the flat at Rocky Valley.
Okay.
I'd sort of woken up and was just making a cup of tea. I do my daily sort of practice, and it came to me before then. I wasn't doing such a deep one back then as what I do now, but it just sort of come to me. I was making the cup of tea. I did the pentagram exercise, and it came
Yeah.
after that. Yeah, and I thought. So it wasn't until after I scribed it out and everything that I realised it was exactly 9 years to the day, and I hadn't been able to speak about it because I just really get choked up because my nan. I was really close to my nan.
Wow, wow, wow. And you wrote it in one sitting?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I did. Most of my writing, like when it's poems or little lyrics, I've got another. I don't want to bother. I've got one that I wrote about a
You are
spy.
going to do it. I want to hear it. I bet you everybody will like to hear another one. But just some comments. Adrienne Weaver, such a gifted soul you are. Thank you for the gift of this poem. Albie says, thank you, Sandy. Beautiful poetry about Behind the Veil. Fleur, you know Fleur.
Oh, hello.
Love you, Sandy. So lots of lovely comments as well. So beautiful. Such love feeling in your poem. Thank you for sharing it with us. That's from David. So lovely. So more, please.
More poems.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. This one is titled Thoughts into Time. Okay. We gaze into the starlit night, the depths of space, the bright moonlight, shooting stars across the sky, comets, meteors just passing by. Unknown forces appear to be hiding deep throughout the galaxy. Saturn, Mercury, Venus, Mars are some of the planets we name as ours. Slowly, silently they go through a passage of time we yearn to know. Many secrets they have to keep, which mankind has attempted to seek. One thunderous clap through the universe, and all that time has made dispersed. Wait, pause for a moment and look at the sun. Life on New Earth has already begun. Gaze into that starlit night, the depths of space and bright moonlight. Millions of stars are yet to be seen, emerging in galaxies cherished in dreams. Saturn, Mercury, Venus, Mars. Can we truly name those as being ours? Around the galaxies we travel, there are so many mysteries to unravel. Continue this journey through time and through space. Many encounters you've yet to embrace. Time is a blessing given freely to all. No matter how much we're given, we'll always yearn more. Pause for a moment, look once more to the sky. Open again the time forgotten third eye. Connect with the heavens, connect with the earth. Treasure this time of new birth.
Oh, that is just beautiful.
That's another one.
It's more absolutely beautiful and certainly comforting to many a soul. Lisa says, very moving. Our first year without some special people. It is comforting to hear.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So you said you have a daily practice. What do you do and when do you do it?
In the mornings, usually after I've woken up, because I find that's quite a nice way to start the day, because sometimes you sort of wake up and you can look outside and think, oh, I really don't want to get out of bed. It could be cold or raining, or especially here, you can hear the wind howls down my chimney like a banshee sometimes. So I tend to sort of do it that time to make myself open the back door and go outside and just stand and take in the day. I don't do it as much when it's cold and wet. I come back in and do it in my kitchen. But I went on a retreat at Finchley House with Philip a few years ago, and he showed us the standing tree meditation, what we do in the morning. And since then, I've sort of changed from doing my pentagram exercise quite quickly to doing that one, and really feeling everything coming up, and saying thank you to the land, the sea, and the sky, and embracing quarters. I do go around and do the quarters. My house indoors, I've sort of done the quarters, so I just go around and I do everything sunrise and say thank you on a daily basis, and extra thank yous. We can sort of tend to ask for things on quite a regular basis, or not ask, but very often we forget to say thank you when it happens. And I do make a point, if I can say thank you so much for doing that. That I know that couldn't have come from anywhere else, and you can connect with them in 10-15 minutes of morning. But it's really, I was sort of, to be honest, I was crippled up with fibromyalgia and different things when I went to Finchley, and I walked in with a walking frame, and they left walking frame. And after the 2 or 3 days of doing the meditations, learning the basic bit of sophrology, which Philip was teaching at that time, I think it was probably after about a day and a half, I didn't need my walking frame to go around the basic garden. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
Wonderful, absolutely. I mean, the power of that. It's incredible. I'm not surprised. I'm just, those things don't surprise me. But it's still, I still have wonder about stories like that, the power of healing through whatever it is, holding somebody's hand, doing a sophrology exercise, listening to someone's voice in meditation, how powerful it is and how magical and wonderful it is.
It is truly magical. And I very much believe in the power of healing, especially within, like our druid circles. And I belong to a couple of ladies groups down here, and I'm a Coven member as well. But I don't think I'd have joined a different one apart from the one which I'm in, because they've accepted me as a Druid, I am who I am, and they don't want to change me, and that is really, really good. I was called to learn certain aspects after that was sort of during lockdown, and Adrian and Joe had come into Cornwall and went to meet them, and I was speaking to them, and this was actual calling, you know. I said, but I'm true to the bone, you know. But I've learned quite a lot of basic things, because I did skip through my Bardic rather quickly because I couldn't wait to get to my ovate. So I did my year, and that was it. I was out of there.
It's funny. It took me 7 years to go through my Bardic, all because I wanted to be on the ovate.
Oh,
so I couldn't run through it. I was stuck in it, which obviously was what was meant to be. But I wanted to be an ovate, just go straight there and do all. And I was doing all those ovate courses and things while I was doing the Bardic, and I was like, no, you're not getting out of here till you have the work done. So it's really, really interesting how our journeys through the grades vary, and all of them, you know, are unique to ourselves, and the right way to take the journey, however that is. There's just a question a few people have asked: have you published your poetry?
No.
Oh,
sorry.
And before we end, will you read another one? Not now, just before the end. Will you read another poem?
Yes, I've got a short little fun one. That's literally about fun, but it's not really a poem. But it was a piece about dealing with scars. That's on the OBOB website, but I can read that if you'd like me to.
You have a website, isn't that right?
No, I don't have a website. I'm just me with lots of bits of paper scattered around me.
Maybe you could do a poetry blog or something like that.
Yes, yeah, because I've got quite a few, but I just printed off 2 or 3 ready for tonight. But I've got them on scraps of paper, backs of envelopes, and I keep thinking, okay, I will file these. I'll get these into some sort of order one day. So I will do that. No, sorry, I haven't written a book yet on those.
Well, you know, it'll come. You've only just published one, so just give yourself time and it'll happen. So I'm just thinking, you know, you mentioned gratitude. What is it you're grateful for generally in your life?
Oh, gosh. Still being here in a way. I'm very, very grateful. And family, and, well, really so grateful to being awoken spiritually to the trees and the animals. And I've got so much, I couldn't just turn around and say one thing. You know, I've got a roof over my head. I'm grateful for that. I've got food in my tummy. I've got such and I love I love my family and my friends. I could squeeze them all. And I'm grateful for all of these people being in my life and really being part of it, not just somebody you pass by in the street and give a click nod. It's people that are there. If you want them, they're there 24/7, and I think that really means a lot. I'm there 24/7, and they're there 24/7. And it's really strong, you know, it's really, really strong friendship with these people. And well, it's more than, I can't describe it as more than friendship. It's just lovely. And nearly all of those I've met through ABOD, which is amazing. So, you know, I left my old life behind, and these are new people who accepted me for what I was, and have done the journey with me. And
lovely?
They're lovely. Yeah.
So what's the most reckless thing you've ever done?
Oh my golly. Where do we start?
Go from gratitude to recklessness. It's a nice jump.
Yeah, it is a good one. I used to, before I came to Cornwall, I was travelling backwards and forwards to the Philippines, where my uncle had a karaoke bar at one point. Unfortunately, he's not here anymore. And one particular time when I've gone over, there was an earthquake at one of the islands a bit her up, and a volcano was going off, and I really wanted to go there. But what they call it, the aftershocks came through where he was. He was at a place called Metabunkai, and the ocean was doing all these wonderful turbulent things and swirling about. And I insisted on getting in there to feel that. Even I wasn't a druid then, but I really wanted to feel that energy. And the chap I was with at the time, he lived in the Philippines, and he came in with me, and then he looked at me after about 30 seconds and went, "You happy now? We go out, we come out." But I think that was pretty reckless. I just really wanted to feel those energies, so that was quite right.
What was the energy like? What were you feeling when you were?
Wow, it was just the tremendous surging power of the ocean, and you were surrounded by so many different energies. I mean, it was amazing. It really was. But you could also feel the seabed moving underneath because of the aftershock. And I can't swim very well. I'm not a great swimmer, so that. Yeah, I do breaststroke, but I do it across the pool, not up and down. But it was, I'd say that was, looking back, that was pretty reckless, but it was something I really just wanted to get in there and feel that power. The water snakes, everything just disappears, and the sea there, but it was so calm, you could sort of just lay on it and watch the stars, and they'd all go, you get different colour stars down there, so that was pretty calm. But yeah, going in after when these aftershocks were happening from the earthquake, looking back, that was a bit reckless.
Oh, wow! What an experience!
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Wow.
And also another thing I had when I was out there, I had my eyeliner tattooed on. So everybody said, "You did
God, and was it not painful?" I have a friend who did that as well.
Very painful. For 4 hours, sat there for 4 hours while they done that. If anything had gone wrong, I'd have been, well, extra scar to go with what I already got.
Did you have your head in a vice so that you wouldn't move?
I was thinking after she'd done the first one, I'm thinking, because it was literally one dot at a time.
Yes.
Because they can't just go along with the gun, because it's literally on my lower eyelids. And it was when they'd done the first one, I really didn't want to have the second one done, but I thought I'd look like something off a Clockwork Orange, so I had to have it done, Really.
So she just had this down and then just go ding, 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 ding. And, oh my God.
It was on your lower lids, underneath your eyelashes.
Oh, cripes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was pretty reckless as well.
Actually,
I've never regretted that, even though I'm getting older and more crinkly and everything. I've never regretted having that done.
I'd rather go into the aftershock than get the tattoo of my eyelids, I'm telling you. Angela says, "Wow, you were lucky there wasn't a tsunami." That's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't, things like that. Even here in Cornwall, even now, when the waves come up, and there's a certain energy that wants you to go in and pull into the waves. So I have to really resist that one.
Wow. Oh, well, Neem, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, says, "You are an inspiring lady." And Lisa says, "Blessings to you all, dear souls. This has been so good for my heart. Healing energy in return. Thank you very much."
Thank you.
Tanya says, "You are rather determined, Sandy." Great.
I am determined.
Blake has tattoos, but nowhere near his eyes. I have a tattoo and it's very far away from my eyes, I have to say. Just
oh, that's great.
That's brilliant. So when you think of what's been the biggest challenge you've ever overcome?
That one I don't know really. Learning, well, after, again, following the motorbike accident, I totally forgotten how to even use the remote control on the TV. So I
Was that
think
because of your hand or your cognitive function?
it was up here, but they said that I hadn't had a bone injury, but I really just couldn't. So I think the challenges I faced, I had to sort of, I'd mentored incorrectly as well.
You
So
sorry?
I'd mentored like where my ribs had broken away down my back. That's one bit. I'd mentored wrong and everything. So I think the challenge is to sort of overcome, relearn how to even read, write, do the remote, to read instructions. I had to do them like I was back as a little child, and that I'd say that was quite challenging. Probably one of the biggest was to pass my driving test, to be honest, as well.
I mean, that was bigger than doing all this recovery after. My goodness.
I would have a complete meltdown every time I went to take my driving test. I'd have a complete meltdown halfway through, and I think it was on the 7th or 8th attempt I passed.
Oh,
But
well done.
oh,
Wow.
it was a long time.
So how long did your recovery process take from the accident to being back functioning like you are now?
Oh gosh. I'd say probably about 5 or 6 years, but they're still putting me back together even now. Certain things are wearing out now, but I'd say about 5 or 6 years, and then to sort of the changes through. OBOD played a massive part in helping me through the post-trauma stress, PTSS, and those sort of things. Yeah. Going through all that really helped.
Wow.
It was a slow, it's a slow process, but I'm really grateful. I went back and I learned how to I had to go back to school, really. I went back and took like GCSEs and A levels in English.
Again?
Yeah,
Oh
because
my goodness.
I wanted to be a proper writer and a proper author, and my grammar was left a lot to be desired. I would write how I spoke. There'd be no punctuation marks. The capitals would be in the middle of words. I had to literally relearn how to do all of that. I didn't do, when I was a child, I didn't really go to school. I had asthma, really bad asthma,
Okay.
which I was born with, and I had to spend probably from the time I was 1.5 or 2 till I was 8 or 9 or even 10 in a nursing home called Capestone at Muddyford. We had a little place where you go and do your schoolwork. Most of the time I was too poorly. I was in an oxygen tent. But I passed books through, and so I learned to read quite early on in life, so that I'd have something to entertain myself with, because I wasn't allowed out the bed and things like that.
So did you get to see your family? Were they allowed to visit you?
On a Wednesday afternoon and a Sunday afternoon.
Oh my God. That must have been so hard. Wow.
It was hard, but you learn to sort of, when it's from a very early age, you don't know any different, really. It's not until you sort of get to 7, 8 years old, and the mum sort of, I'd be home for maybe a week and go to normal school, but that would be about the most I spent at home. Then I was back in. But my life, they made, I was allergic to probably 60 to 70 things. I was put on a programme at Beecham House in London, and they took me up, and like they do the crisscross things, and they injected me, but everything they injected me with, I was reacting.
Oh my
So
God.
they made up a special vaccine, and I had to have it once a week for a year at my GP's. And that really changed my life sort of when I was about 11, 12 years old at that time, because I'd only ever known that I was like Christchurch Hospital, Cape Storm Nursing Home, then I was allowed to the Royal National Hospital, which was supposed to have been for adults, but my dad was doing the gas conversions, like when we went from to North Sea Gas, and he was speaking to one of the doctors, and he agreed to see me, so I was allowed to go to the Royal National Hospital then. So that was
You've
I've lost
gone.
you.
You're still here, but you need to turn your phone around.
Hello, I don't know if you can see me.
I can hear you. We can. I can hear you. You've just hidden, covered your face there. Oh, she has gone. I don't know if she can hear me. She's still here, but anyway, sorry about that. And it's a pity that I don't know what I'm going to do. And we're coming to the end of our time anyway. And I know people would like to. Thank you, Blake. You'll stand by. Things happen. I'll just see if I can send her a text. See if she's back. Okay. I don't know. Oh, she's gone completely. Maybe she'll come back in. So Carmen says, when I was 10 at a boarding school, I had a test like that done. It was allergic to everything except fish and meat. That's incredible. How there's lovely comments, David. Sandy, you have a definite Ove gift with your poetry. I know it would be should be bardic, but it feels very ovatic because of the healing and love energies coming through. And I think your bardic skills go with you right through. I only started telling stories after I had finished. Don't do that to me, Blake. Maybe I'll try it. I'll just do it before. Hopefully she'll come back. If not, this is very, very raw. This is called The Fairy King by Horselips. So let me just check. Let me do this. I feel I'm really exposing myself now. That's all I'm doing because I'm quite nervous about this. So I think we'll have to call it. She hasn't come back. She's trying to get back, but hold on. Here she's coming. Let's see. She's got to come. She's going to come. Welcome back. Welcome back. Can you?
Hi.
Yes, you're frozen, but I can hear you.
I'm on a different device. My one's suddenly frozen.
Crashed. Listen, we're coming to the end of our time, but welcome so back. The people have been making lovely comments, so maybe we can read those after this. Just can you read your poem? Actually, Blake says the harp was magic. Your interlude summoned Sandy. Well,
Oh,
so
sorry. Did you want a quick little fun one, or did you want a long, sort
well,
of in-depth
okay,
one?
a long in depth. How long is it? Oh, you're
probably about
again.
2 or 3 minutes. Have I frozen?
No, you're back again. So
I'm back again.
do the fun one.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, we're gonna do the long one and then we'll do the fun one. We can end with that.
Okay. This is on OBOD's website as well, druidry.org. It's called Time May Heal Wounds, but Scars Remain. Time may heal the wounds, but the scars remain. Is it how you treat those scars which really matters? Do you cover them with clothes, makeup, tattoos? Do you hide them at the bottom of a bottle or at the end of a hypodermic needle? You may even try to disguise them with a smile that does not reach your eyes. Those scars, those wounds, always revealing, always reminding. Should you expose them for all to see, or hide them among the other skeletons in the cupboard? You know the ones I'm talking about. Those skeletons which you think are forever hidden, tucked safely away. Which you personally tuck safely away until that is. Somebody, something, maybe quite innocently, or even at times to be malicious and cruel, opens that cupboard door, disturbing them once again. Then, and only then, they come back to life, like a horror film which you cannot wait to end. Those scars are slashed open once again, cut along the same line, left bleeding and festering once more. There is no nurse in the cupboard to stitch the wounds. All that is left is an empty space, a black hole whose vortex can suck you in faster than you can blink. However, you can choose another way. Expose those scars for all to see, understand, and help them heal. As much as you try to hide it from yourself and others, they are you, a map of your journey, your life. They are what has brought you to the here and now. They are your companions and your guides. Look at them, learn from them, and embrace them. Each one tells a different story, a moment in time. Listen to what they say. How you progress the path now is your own free will, but do not damage or harm others along the way. Think about it. Do you really want others to bear your scars as well as their own? Maybe, just maybe, you would prefer love and support of others helping you. Take those fresh steps along that path to see that glorious sunset and embrace the beautiful new sunrise. Listen, can you hear the birds heralding a new dawn? Hear the insects, the minute creatures taking life from place to place. Feel the rain, wind, and sun. Taste the air, but not just once, countless times. Remember subconsciously how it changes. Hear the voice of a spring as it finds its way through the earth to the surface, how it bubbles and chuckles as it reaches the air, winding its way in and out of the grass, earth, stone, forming the capillaries of a stream travelling to the river, then to the ocean. Absorb each individual blessing and smile. This is life. And you, yes, you with the scars, are part of it. Wake up and smell the coffee, people say. Should they say instead, wake up and smell life? Wonderful aroma that surrounds us. Even through the fumes of the towns and cities, the scent of life is there, if you chose to look for it. Search for the scent of each individual person, tree, flower, grass, animal, mineral. the smell of the oceans, the aroma of the earth, the musky, beautiful smell left lingering after a lover's embrace. It's there to be found once again. Love your scars. They are your visible healing, your strength, your warrior within. Do you really want to hide them like a mushroom that has been encouraged to grow in the dark, then left to fester and smell like an ulcerous wound, which was always open and never healing? Time may heal, but the scars remain. It's how you choose to treat those scars that really matter. I wrote that
That's beautiful.
back in 2010 after doing one of the healing meditations within the Gursu. I know we're not supposed to discuss them,
Nope.
but that really transformed my life, and it was good. Unfortunately, Nick got bombarded with this year after he'd done his tea with the Druid, when he was saying about Tina Turner and how she found spirituality after what she'd gone through with Ike, and that was her. So I thought, oh, I've just sent him this little piece, what I wrote back. I don't even think I sent it to my mentor at the time, and I just felt moved to send it, and he thought it might help other people. So it's there on the Druidry website.
It's on the website. Timey says, what a gift. Please try to publish a collection of your poems. Adrienne says, bless you for your poetry, because there's so much healing to be found in your words. Blake says, Sandy, lovely poetry. So glad you're able to come back and share these gems. Love it, said Marcus. Great healing. Powerful. Beautiful. And Neem, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Our scars are the rivers of our life's journey. So just beautiful. So before we finish, do you want to end on a light, on a your fun one?
Oh, my other one. It's a fun one. This was again written. It was at one of the OBOD camps. I mean, OBOD camps were, well, they still are. If you could get the opportunity to go, they are wonderful. They're under White Horse camps now.
Wonderful.
Do come and join us. We've met so many people, wonderful people there. This was I wrote in Beltane 2011. I'm going to be covered sort of fossilised soon, aren't I? And it's called Please Don't Kill Me, Ode to Spiders. Please don't kill me as I run, either out of fear or fun. Please don't kill me when I hide. I'm warm in your clothes when I crawl deep inside. Please don't kill me when I'm in your bath or running at night across your hearth. Please don't stamp upon my head and keep stamping until I am dead. Sometimes I bite, sometimes I kill, but without me, die you will. Yours truly, the spider. That was by Spider.
Well, I love spiders, so I think that's lovely. Just beautiful. Andy, it has been such a joy chatting to you, and I know from the beautiful comments that we can look through after we go off air, it's just been so lovely chatting to you. And thank you. I'm so glad you got back. So I'm going to you just say goodnight to everybody. So you say goodnight to everybody, and then you just go backstage, and I'll just finish off here, and then we can have a chat. So I just allow you to do that. Okay. You want to say goodbye?
Thank you for everybody. Yes, yeah, I'll say goodbye. I'd just like to say a huge thank you to all of you, and you interacted tonight, and sending you all a big hug. And you find me if you need to chat or whatever. I'm sure you can track me down somewhere on Facebook or something, and I'm always more than pleased to hear from anybody, and sending you all lots of love, and either warm winter hugs or nice cooling one for the lady or Mandel in Mexico. Good night, everyone.
Okay, I'll see you soon. Well, thank you so much for your lovely warm comments, and it was great that she was able to come back. So I look forward to seeing you again next week for another chat when, again, always interesting guests I have. I'm so lucky to have such wonderful and a wonderful pool of people to choose from. So I wish you all be safe this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever. I know I saw one viewer as up early morning in Australia, very, very impressed. And I just wish you all the best for the coming week. And until next week, slán go fóill.